I don't want that. I want to open up a Univar catalog and be able to order any part that breaks on a J3. That's what I want.
Yeah.
And maybe you can do that with these. But the fact there's only maybe one right now for sale tells me something.
Yeah. Viper Warrior 2, 1979. You
Somebody
like
needs
you know
to buy
some
it.
stuff about these airplanes.
I do. Huh? This is a great year. I even like the hangar that they built. They have in this picture. I really like these hangars, like that. It's like a metal truss frame, like a Quonset hut type look, right? Half circle, and it's like covered in vinyl or like a canvasy type thing. I always think that's really cool. It's got to be pretty cheap to build, but basically it's an open hangar. This is a 1979 Piper Warrior 2, so it's 160 horse. 79 is a great year because they were light. I want to say in 80 or 81, they transitioned to putting the firewall from the back, underneath the back seat, or in the back anyways. Pretty sure under the back seat, but regardless. After that, they moved it to the firewall, which totally threw off its handling characteristics. And I used to fly some of these different years back to back, and it was not a small difference if you had any amount of time in them. This is a great year. Almost 5,400 hours total time for a 79. So I can't imagine it was a trainer too much. Looks like it's based at a grass strip, though, so that would be something to consider. But for 27.5...
Toronto.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have issues like that. I mean, getting, whatever, importing, and you're going to have to get a DAR or DER, whoever it is that imports them. Seek one out in your area, and they'll get you through the steps. Obviously, that'll add some complexity and some cost to getting it. But this is 27.5 US. I mean, US dollars.
I feel like that's a decent buy right there.
That's a totally... Now, I don't know anything about the engine.
Unless there's something wrong with it.
Well, what's it say on the... what do we got on the engine? Engine.
Oh, 1/4 share available.
Oh, see. Man, that fine print. That'll get you.
Never mind.
Man.
Well, unless you're in this area and you want to own 1/4 of a Piper Warrior.
Yeah, that's too bad. That's too bad. But man, look at this.
Seemed pretty cheap to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, that is a good deal. But I mean, like, look at this basic empty weight, people. Listen to this. 1,518 pounds. That's the basic empty weight on this thing. So it's got an 800, 800, it says 807 pound useful load. Now, yeah, I get it. You add fuel and all this stuff and people. It's the same thing as every other 172 that everybody's used to. You put full fuel, you're only taking 2 people and maybe some bags. That's just the way it is. But, like, for this airplane, I mean, they're so balanced. They're a joy to fly. You keep the fuel light depending on your mission, of course. You got to make those choices. But you're right there with Archers and 172s all day long. So this thing, okay, so 27.5 for a quarter share. So this is basically a $100,000 airplane.
Yep.
Yeah, 100, 120, somewhere around in there.
That makes more sense.
Makes a lot more sense. Man, that'd still be a good deal for people. But see that engine though? I mean, buying in now, I'd be talking them down. That seems a little high for this airplane if we do the 27.5 times 4 shares, because this engine has 1,362 since major overhaul. So yeah, it's probably running great, but I'd want to be 100 to 120 for this airplane. That sounds a little high. So I personally would be trying to knock probably $5,000 to $6,000 off my entry into this, because I know in no less than, just from an insurance standpoint, they're going to want to see you overhaul this thing at 2,000 hours. So they're coming up on basically 600 hours till that thing needs a major overhaul.
With 3 other people flying it, in theory.
What's that?
With 3 other people flying it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, that the thing's going to fly even when it's going to gain hours even when you're not in the seat, probably. So that's something to consider, and that's going to be a 27. Actually, I can look on my spreadsheet because I just updated my Lycoming prices for that kind of engine. Not necessarily an 0320. I don't think I have on here. That engine is going to cost $27,271. So divide that by 4 people. Yeah, so I mean that's roughly $6,000 each. So I'd be trying to knock this down to 21. I mean, of course you're going to fly some of those 400. So you got to think about that. Think how much you're going to fly it, and then deduct that out. So I mean, you're probably trying to get them down to maybe 20, 24, 25 grand on your
partnership. There's probably just an hourly you throw in that's making a pool for the overhaul. Is how a lot of partnerships do that, right? So it's just kind of like...
Yeah, I guess you're correct. Yeah, I guess that depends on how it's set up. Me personally, I'm thinking that they're going to always be like, well, you know, the other 3 partners who have been in it for, 5-10 years, they're like, well, what about the new guy? You know, why is my share... I mean, I guess if the previous owner, if their money stays in that pool, I guess they should have it when they're done. You know, that should stay in the pool because they flew the hour, right? So, yeah, as long as it stays in the pool.
Walking in and go, why should I be paying for all the flight hours you guys put it on it before I was even an owner of it? You know, that's the other side of the coin.
100%, dude. Yeah, I agree with you. I guess it just depends on the structure of how if they've done everything on the up and up and they have that basically that pot that they've been building every time somebody flies it, X amount goes in that pot for the engine and the annuals and whatever for your cosmetics and avionics, however you have your accounts, figured out what you put in what per hour, as long as that money stayed with the plane even though the partner left or that it's broke down correctly. I'd want to see all that stuff up front though. So I'm not in it for a year, and I have to go cough up $5-6 for an engine that I didn't put any time on.
Yeah, really. I'm anti-partnerships now. The 150 I had, I learned how to fly in, was a partnership with one other person. Well, it was father-son, and it worked out well. But I'm just like, I don't want to press my luck, doing that again, because what are the odds you get multiple aircraft partnersps over a lifetime that are all great? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you had a really good deal.
Stop playing that game while I'm ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Or at least have maybe dabble a little bit and have, probationary periods or confines on how it operates. I would be very leery. I have pride in ownership and stuff. Even if it's junk, I just have pride in ownership. I can beat on something, but it's not okay if you beat on it, type thing. That's just how I am. I'm like an only child like that, I mean, there are certain people that I would let fly it. It just depends. But by and large, I'm not a fan of the partnership. I get yelled at because when I'm done flying, I will leave the gas where it is. I tend to like to keep my gas lighter than a lot of people do. They want it topped off, like they want to see full gauges or full tanks when they stick it or whatever. I don't like that. I see all that as waste. I will keep burning fuel down. Like if I take it topped off, like something just rolls out, because I have some weird structure of some of the stuff that I fly where I'm supposed to put gas in it, but it got used by other people, but they topped it off. But I know I'm going to be the next person to fly it the next 3 times. But then all of a sudden somebody comes in, they're like, well, he didn't put fuel in it. It's like, well, yeah, because the next time I go take it, I don't want fuel in it. And you're going to bring it back to me with a bunch of weight that I can't have because I'm taking a lot of stuff, but I'm not going very far, so I don't need a lot of fuel. So we have different missions in mind, perhaps.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm trying to do the wrong thing or not pay. I'll pay, but I need to keep my mind on what my uses are going to be. I've had a couple times been right up to gross weight this summer, and it's like, I don't want that. I don't need that. I don't want that. I want climb performance. I want cruise performance. I just like all of that. I like eking out as much performance as I can. And the weight does not allow you to do that. And when I'm only going to burn 5 gallons for the round trip, I don't need to take 50. Like, that's like legit. It takes 2.5 gallons each way. So doesn't make sense for me to carry around all that extra weight. Obviously legal VFR reserves for my purposes, but that, I mean, I don't even have a partnership, and it's still aggravating to have to navigate that when it comes up, which isn't that often, but when it does, like, even if somebody doesn't say anything directly to me, and I know that there are just kind of rumblings that, oh, Lee didn't put fuel in it. It's like, yeah, because I don't want fuel in it. You know, I'm kind of the primary person that flies it, and I don't want fuel in it. Send me a bill. You know, if you have to be inconvenienced by having somebody put gas in it for you, write it down, send me the bill, you know, whatever. But all the little stuff with partnerships.
Yeah.